Hello everyone, it's Lottie from Cancer is a Lifestyle. So how is everyone doing? I have to admit for a good part of March here, what are we on the 8th already, and probably all of February, I've had a really hard time with the winter blues, and you've heard me mention that before, and it's just been really hard for me to get started. But once I get started in my day, then I do really well. But so I know I have not been around, and I'm actually looking forward to spring. And today is, we're changing the clocks. That's a good sign right there. Uh, I I think a few weeks back I was watching Nancy on Ashes, Treasures, and Homesteading. She was doing this 5 life-changing moments in her of her life, and you know, and I thought about, and she was like, hey, you should do one too. And I was like, things like that can really, like, get you thinking about your life. And it can turn really depressing because if you start looking back on your life, uh, I wish all of us could say that, you know, all the 5 moments in our lives that, that they were all positive and wonderful and happy. But unfortunately, a lot of us know that when it comes to choosing 5 life-changing moments, there's going to be it's going to be a split 50-50. You had a lot of good moments, but you also had some trials in your life, where you were really put through the fire. And when you start thinking back on that and looking back on your life, you can become a little depressed. So I was really like, oh, no, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't want to depress anyone. I don't want anyone to be thinking negatively about, any part of their life. But then, I got to thinking that, um, you know, as I reflect back on my own life, a lot of things that I've went through, it shaped who I am now. And if I didn't go through these things, even the bad things, I wouldn't be who I am today. And so we have to kind of look back on our life and not with a depression, and because that's what happens to a lot of us, we get depressed. We're full of regrets. We have to look at it and say, man, I've come a long way. You know, I've come a long way. Look at who I am now. I mean, I've been through that fire and I overcame it. And that's how I want everyone to look at it today as I give you my 5 most life-changing moments. Because I think for a lot of you, if you hear my life-changing moments, you're probably going to be like, man, that sounds pretty bad. But they really, really changed my life, I think, for the better. If that makes any sense. It's going to sound really bad. I know that sounds bad because nobody likes trials in their life, but I guess maybe I just flipped it around and I tried to see, the good part of it. Um, so let's get started. Um, I'm going to say the most obvious first one is going to be when I became a mom. Um, I did not think I would have children, not for any other reason, is that I was a very young mom. I was 19, but I did not think about having children. A lot of my friends through high school and all would all talk about getting married and having children and all. I was not one of those people. I had different plans for my life. I'm a very goal oriented person, and I had other plans. I wanted it to be more career wise. I wanted to really, I did not think that I would be a mom and have children and do any of those things. And I wasn't even thinking about that. So when I did have become pregnant, I just kind of took it like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to have this one. And and I even worked through all of my 9 months, and I worked all the way up to, you know, till I got went in labor. And not that I had any great career or anything. I just did not think, that I would be a mom. And so when I had my son, um, I thought, okay, that, I'm a mom now. I'm going to have, this is my one child, and that's all. And I'm happy. I'm content with that. And which kind of goes into my number two life changing moment, because you know how we think we know what our life is going to be like, and we have this picture in our head of what we think is going to happen. But in fact, even though I never thought about having children, I had 4 children in 5.5 years. Go figure that. So my next life changing moment actually kind of shaped what kind of mom I became, because two of the four passed away when they were infants, and I had 3 boys and a girl, and two of them died within 3 years of each other. One from SIDS at 5 months, and my last baby um, died at 3 weeks from spina bifida. So I had only the two left, a boy and a girl, my firstborn and my thirdborn, and that experience really changed how I parented and how I viewed my role as a mother, because I thought to myself, this is all I have left are these two, and I'm probably not going to have any more. And I wanted to cherish every moment that I spent with these two. And it became very important to me. And I often wonder, had that not happened to me, uh, where I had to bury my 2 children, would I have been as attentive as a mom? Would I have been cherishing all the moments with them? I don't know. But I know that at that moment I made a decision that I was going to be more than a mom. I was going to have a relationship with them. It was very important to me. Um, they became very important to me. Uh, Even up to now, where I feel like we have, now they're all both adults, and I feel like I have an adult relationship with them. And I'm very grateful for the time that I did have with them. I am very grateful that I did have the two that I did. And I have to say that out of all the years with them, I have to tell you the most that I loved were the birth to about 7, 8 years old. Those were the most beautiful moments of my life with as a mother, because I feel like children up to that age, they just adore mom and dad. They just love you. They think you're just like a god to them, and they're just so lovely. And you can solve all their problems with a cookie or a hug. You know, after that age, you can't solve anything with a cookie or a hug. But those are my first two. I really, really enjoyed becoming a parent. I am grateful that I became a parent. My third one, I will have to say, is going to seem strange for all of you, but my third life changing moment for me became when I was 35 and I finally learned to drive. Now, that is always amazing to everyone that I did not drive, but I lived in Chicago all of my life, and especially during that time, you did not need to have transportation. You didn't need to have a car. You could there was plenty of buses and the L, and you just use public transportation, and that's what I did. And then when I worked in my current job, we just carpooled. People carpooled all the time together, and I didn't need and I was okay. And then my carpooling days ended when my driver he retired, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? Nobody else is going my way. So I ended up driving, and it was all due to another fellow coworker who ended up giving me the best advice ever. And she was like, Lottie, she also did not drive, and she carpooled with someone. She goes, you have an opportunity now to learn to drive and be independent, because and then you're not going to be dependent on anyone You can take off when you want to take off. You can go anywhere you want to go. You never have to rely on somebody else to take you. And that was the best advice I ever got. I went to driving school. I learned to drive, and it changed my life forever, because then I could go anywhere I wanted. And if I wanted to go next to Michigan, if I wanted to go Wisconsin, anywhere I wanted to go, I just hopped in the car and went. If I wanted to go to any event and I was tired, I wanted to go home, I didn't have to wait on a driver. I would go home. When I moved with my car. I mean, I was just very independent then. I didn't no longer have to rely on other people's schedules. And that just changed everything. It made me very independent. And I love that. That was a great moment for me. And then something called a GPS came out. And boy, I would just, hey, there's a highway. I'm on it. And I can go anywhere, anytime I want. And I love it. I love that, and I'm glad I've done that. It also solved a great fear, because the longer you wait to do something, you guys, the more you become fearful of doing it. So I got to overcome that fear, and I'm glad. So number 4 and 5 kind of go together. And I really don't know, even though I know which came first, but it kind of came all at the same time. So I was raised a Catholic all of my life, and I lived a life of a Catholic. I went to church. I followed all the sacraments. I raised my children in the Catholic Church, and they followed the sacraments. And then my son became a Christian, a born-again Christian Baptist, and I started also going towards that way. But I wasn't fully 100% making a declaration that I wanted to be a Christ follower, that I was a born again believer, until I went through cancer. And when I was diagnosed, that's my number 4 and 5. I became born again, and I had developed cancer at the age of 42. Even though I was a believer a few years before my diagnosis, I didn't fully decide to change my life and accept Christ and live a certain way until I had cancer. And these two things came at the same time almost, and they were also my 4 and 5 most life-changing moments in my whole entire life, because it changed my life for the better. Now, when I say that cancer changed my life for the better, people look at me really weird. They really, really do. But you have to understand that when we go through the fire, the trials, we never come out the same way. We actually come out better. And when I went through my cancer the first time, it was a really horrible time. Out of the whole 4 times that I've been going through cancer, that one was the most horrible, where I really did not think I would make it. I was just right under 100 pounds. I just was not going well. And for a good 4 months out of my life there, it was looking really bad. And I just kept losing weight so much that I really thought I was not going to make it. I was going to die. And the whole time I'm going through this process, I knew there was something that I needed to see. There was something that I had to learn from this experience. And I felt that it was almost like a God moment. I felt like God wanted me to see something, and about me, about my life. So when I went through it and I survived it, it became almost like, okay, I got through it. So here I am. I was on my road to, becoming a born-again Christian right before the cancer. And then I went through the cancer, and I said, okay, I'm going to change my life. And I am going to live 150% for Christ. And I am going to change my life for the better. And I am going to live a purposeful life. And I am going to make sure that my life has meaning. And that's where I am today. And this is why I say that that experience, as bad as it was, it really changed me for the better, because it made me realize, for first of all, that relationships are very important, you guys, very important. And if you have issues with family members and friends and all, I don't know the situations. I really don't. And I'm sure there was a lot of hurt, a lot of pain there. But we have to develop relationships with people. We have to, I don't know. I don't know how to even put it as like when I went through it, it didn't even matter what was said or what happened with any individual. What mattered is what's going to be put forth from today on. And that's how I look at things now. So I feel like those two things and really, really changed and shaped who I am today, and led me to start the ministry, and led me to talk about cancer and write about it. And I feel like my life has such a great purpose now, where I don't think I had a purpose before. And I feel at times that maybe I was even an angry individual before, whereas now I just kind of pick and choose. I really pick my battles. You know what I mean? I just don't get upset about things as much as I did once, because I just look at life differently now. So I just wanted to share that with all of you, because I think that, like I said, I'm probably, many of you are going to go away from this and be thinking about your own life, because that's what happens when we, you know, when someone starts talking about things like this. We kind of reflect back on our own time, and we think to ourselves that, well, I had such a horrible life, and people were just so bad to me, and it's so easy to fall into that negative, depressed state of mind, when instead of thinking how bad our life is, we need to reflect upon how much we have grown and look at all we've overcome. I mean, yeah, it was horrible. Yeah, it was painful, but look where we're at. Look where we're at. It's a beautiful thing. Not many people can go through life what we have experienced and make it and come out the other end alive or in one piece. So I just want you all to think about that your life is where you're at now. It's a good place, guys. It's a good place, no matter what it is that you've gone through in the world. I mean, in your life, it's a good place. We're still here. We're still chugging along, and we're still smiling, and we're still trying to live our life as best as we can. So I don't want to be morbid, so I hope I didn't depress anyone, because I don't mean to. I really didn't mean to. And I'm sure you can tell by my lighting that it is in the middle of the night. The clock's just turned right now, guys. It is 3 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy your Sabbath today. Enjoy your Sunday. Make Sunday like your relaxing family day. It doesn't matter, what faith you are following. If you're following anything at all, remember that people and relationships are very important, especially the ones that are the closest to you. So anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to go ahead and do your own 5 life-changing moments, go ahead. And it's not a bad thing, you guys. It's a wonderful thing, because you live to tell others about your experience. So anyway, have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.